Let's look now at the next question, number 18. So if RS equals 1, well, does that tell us that RST equals 1? No, in isolation it doesn't, because we don't know anything about T. R and S could both be 1, and then T could be anything, 727 or whatever. So that's not sufficient. Same applies to statement 2. S times T equals 1. Well, if it's fine, but in isolation we don't know anything about R. Now, of course, now we've got to evaluate them in combination. The possible answers are C or E. It can't be D. And as I said at the beginning, one of the most common traps is to confuse C with D. D can only happen if they're sufficient in isolation. C can happen if they're sufficient in combination. Well, in combination, they look somewhat, it's tempting to think that they are, in fact, that they are sufficient. Because you sort of say, well, if RS equals 1, then probably R is 1 and S is 1. And if ST equals 1, then probably S is 1 and T is 1. But of course, that's not necessarily the case. R could be 2, and S could be 1/2, and T could be 2. R times S, 2 times 1/2 equals 1. S times T, 1/2 times 2 equals 1. But R times S times T equals 2. So, and of course, you could also have them all equaling 1, which would be 1. So it's a yes or no question. Here's a case where the answer is no. Here's a case where the answer is yes. So we have a gray area, and therefore the correct answer is E. Okay. Now we've had a couple of cases in the last few questions, the last 5 or 6 questions, where you've both gone for D when the answer was C, and or in this case it was E. But make sure that you're very clear in your mind that the only way that you can get D is if each is sufficient on its own, ignoring the information that's covered in the other questions. It's very understandable to get C and E wrong, to confuse C and E, because C happens if you combine them and you think they are sufficient. E happens if you combine them and you think they're not sufficient. If you don't see, as in this case, it's very tempting to see that to think that it might be answer choice C. If you can't see that they're not sufficient in combination or are sufficient in combination, that's very understandable. But make sure that you're very, very clear on the correct answer choices, on what the answer choices mean. Okay, let's look now at the last 2